You know that strange moment when you are absolutely certain you know a word, a name, or a fact. You can feel yourself circling around it, but it simply refuses to come out. Your brain feels like it's hovering just above the answer, but the word stays locked away. Researchers have a name for this oddly specific struggle. They call it a tip-of-a-tongue state. And even though it feels personal, it's something every single one of us experiences. I'm Tony Zimbardo, and today we're going to explore what is actually happening inside your brain when a word gets stuck, why these mental glitches happen, and what you can do to unstick them. If you enjoy learning how the mind works, make sure you subscribe to Donisoff Psych so you never miss a new deep dive. Most of the time, your brain pulls up words effortlessly from an enormous mental library. It takes meaning, sound, memories, and associations, and it pieces them together into smooth, coherent speech. But during a tip-of-the-tongue moment, that system misfires. You can feel the word somewhere in your mind, yet you can't quite retrieve it. It's a strange combination of knowing and not knowing at the same time. What makes this moment even more interesting is what happens inside the brain, alongside the usual language. Networks responsible for storing and retrieving words. Researchers see extra regions activate. One of them is the anterior cingulate cortex, a part of the brain involved in detecting conflict and generating that urgent feeling of, "Come on, I know this." That tension, that mental itch, comes straight from your brain's conflict detection system firing up. But what exactly is happening with the lost word? Scientists aren't entirely sure. There are a few possibilities. One idea is that your brain does detect the word, but can't fully reconstruct it. Another theory is that your brain only detects the associations around the word, giving you the sense of closeness without the actual retrieval. The truth may be a blend of both. Tip-of-the-tongue experiences line up with how psycholinguistics explains the architecture of language in the mind. Usually, your brain moves from a word's meaning and associations down to its sounds. And some researchers believe that sound information is the most fragile, the most likely to get temporarily stuck. But why do these moments happen more often with some words than others? Certain categories seem especially vulnerable. Proper nouns like names of people or places are among the most common. Rarely used words, abstract concepts, and words that lack strong visual imagery also increase the likelihood. Think of terms like idiosyncrasy or revelation. Harder to picture, harder to summon. Interestingly, we're usually pretty good at recognizing faces and recalling basic facts about a person, but matching that face to a specific name, that's where the brain often stumbles. Sometimes an unintended word becomes a mental roadblock. For example, you might try to remember the star of The Wizard of Oz, and your brain keeps offering Dorothy instead of Judy Garland. That incorrect word becomes a kind of mental decoy. Environmental conditions also play a role. One study found that stressful situations lead to more tip-of-the-tongue states. When you feel pressure, your brain's retrieval systems misfire more often. Some people, however, experience these moments far more frequently than others. Bilingual or multilingual speakers are a good example. When you know multiple labels for the same object or idea, words from one language can interfere with words in another. That interference becomes especially strong when switching between languages. Interestingly, people who learn a second language very early, before about age 5, tend to experience fewer of these struggles. And in one experiment, simply hearing a language participants didn't understand increased their tip-of-the-tongue incidence, as if the brain became overloaded by competing linguistic cues. These states also become more common with age. This might be due to natural changes in the brain areas responsible for language, or because an older adult simply has a much larger mental library to search through. More knowledge can mean more possible answers to sort past. But here's the surprising part. Tip-of-the-tongue states might actually be useful. These moments don't usually indicate permanent forgetting. Instead, they reflect difficulty in accessing information that is still securely stored, and that frustrating feeling of almost there may serve a motivational purpose. In studies, people in a tip-of-the-tongue state spent more time trying to recall answers and were more likely to eventually remember them. One of the best ways to break the mental block is cueing using clues your brain naturally offers. That might mean recalling related memories, imagining associated images, or running through possible starting letters. For example, if you're trying to remember the ancient city with the hanging gardens, you might recall that they're one of the 7 wonders of the ancient world. Then you might scroll through the alphabet until a letter sparks recognition. Suddenly, Babylon snaps into place, because a tip of the tune moment is not the brain failing, it's the brain searching. It's your mind working hard to access something buried deep inside an enormous network of memories. And somewhere in that network, your 3rd-grade teacher's name, that actor's last name, or that oddly specific vocabulary word is still there, just waiting for the right cue to resurface. Thanks for watching.